Good morning. Join with me in reading Genesis chapter 42, verses 8 to 16. Although Joseph recognized his brothers, they didn't recognize him, and he remembered the dreams he'd had about them many years before. He said to them, "You are spies. You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." "No, my lord," they exclaimed. "Your servants have simply come to buy food. We are all brothers, members of the same family. We are honest men, sir. We are not spies." "Yes, you are," Joseph insisted. "You have come to see how vulnerable our land has become." "Sir," they said, "there are actually 12 of us. We, your servants, are all brothers, sons of a man living in the land of Canaan. Our youngest brother is back there with our father right now, and one of our brothers is no longer with us." But Joseph insisted. "As I said, you are spies. This is how I will test your story. I swear by the life of Pharaoh that you will never leave Egypt unless your youngest brother comes here. One of you must go and get your brother. I'll keep the rest of you here in prison. Then we'll find out whether or not your story is true. By the life of Pharaoh, if it turns out that you don't have a younger brother, then I'll know you are spies." So Joseph tells his brothers, "This is how I will test your story. You will never leave Egypt unless your younger brother comes here." 2 verses on, we read that Joseph had his brothers put into prison for 3 days. At least 20 years had passed since he had seen or heard anything about his family. Joseph was sold at the age of 17, released from prison at the age of 30, and then went through the 7 years of plenty. He probably wondered how they treated his brother Benjamin, and so his plan of testing could have been a very human reaction, possibly even some thought of retaliation for what they had put him through. Joseph had no idea how his brothers would react. Our life lesson today is, often God will test us so that our faith will grow stronger. God tests us for a totally different reason than Joseph's test of his brothers. I used to question why God would test us when he knows what the outcome will be. But I have learned that the testing is not for his benefit, but for ours. Think back to when you were in school and the many tests that you had to write. They did not benefit the teacher, but they did show you how you were progressing in your education. And the same is true with God's test. It shows you how you are growing in your spiritual life. As we study the Old Testament, we see that over and over it was necessary for God to test the Israelites. They would go their own way, straying away from God. God would test them, and for a period of time, they would return to God's way. And so it is today. God tests us for our benefit. How we react is up to us. We need to pray as David did in Psalm 139, verses 23 and 24. "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. Point out anything in me that offends you, and lead me along the path of everlasting life." David asks to be tested so that he will know those things in his life that are not right with God, and we should do the same. Paul tells us in 2 Corinthians chapter 13 and verse 5 that we should test ourselves. "Examine yourselves to see if your faith is genuine. Test yourselves. Surely you know that Jesus Christ is among you. If not, you have failed the test of genuine faith. In Hebrews chapter 2, verses 17 and 18, we are told that Jesus will help us as we go through times of testing. Therefore, it was necessary for him to be made in every respect like us, his brothers and sisters, so that he could be our merciful and faithful high priest before God. Then he could offer a sacrifice that would take away the sins of the people. Since he himself has gone through suffering and testing, he is able to help us when we are being tested. James in chapter 1 verses 2 to 4 says that we should accept testing with joy, for it is by testing that our endurance will grow. Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. For you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. And 1 Peter chapter 1 verses 6 and 7 shows us how our future is dependent on how we handle testing. So be truly glad. There is wonderful joy ahead, even though you must endure many trials for a little while. These trials will show that your faith is genuine. It is being tested as fire tests and purifies gold, though your faith is far more precious than mere gold. So when your faith remains strong through many trials, it will bring you much praise and glory and honor on the day when Jesus Christ is revealed to the whole world. And so these times of testing are like the process of refining precious metals. They are heated to a very high temperature, which burns off all impurities. Look at Zechariah chapter 13, verse 9. I will bring that group through the fire and make them pure. I will refine them like silver and purify them like gold. They will call on my name and I will answer them. I will say, these are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. And so count it a blessing to be tested by God. Use it as a learning experience. Give God the chance to remove those things in your life that need refining.